to us anyway.
Okay.
All right, let's see. We are on the tubes. We always start with a little bit of an intro, so I'll play that in just a second.
I'll give you the hair tie right off of my wrist. I'll turn it up if you play Taylor Swift. I'll gas you up when you're acting unhinged. If you're done, if you pissed, I'll help you burn down a bridge. I'm an always got time for my girls, girl. Wherever you are in the world, girl, I'll be right there when you call me up. If you need to cry or wanna get drunk, I'll be your number one hype girl. I got your back in a fight, girl. Round after round, I'm always down. There ain't no doubt I'm a girl's girl. Yeah, there ain't no doubt I'm a girl's girl. Hey. Woo! Round after round, I'm always down. There ain't no doubt I'm a girl's girl.
All right, everybody, welcome to a special bonus episode of the Hurricane Girls. We are here with Lucy Kaplansky tonight. Please tell me I said your name right. How
It
does
was
it?
perfect.
Okay, good. Whew. Yeah, I am Hurricane Sheila. I am the internet's ex-girlfriend. We are here with Salty Hurricane, Mary Bankson, the Salty Historian, and here with Hurricane Sim, who is our resident brain on the crew here, licensed therapist, amazing person here. And Lucy, you hail from New York City, from what I understand.
Yes. Originally from Chicago, but I've been in New York for pretty close to 50 years.
50 years and still
Getting
doing
there.
it. Well, I heard about you first because you're coming to Toledo soon, right?
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, on the 27th, I think, of March.
Yep. So you're playing in my town, so I was like, you know what? I always check out people who play locally and see,
Oh,
how I feel about their music. And like I got a vibe off of
thank you.
listening to yours, especially one of the songs that I know that has been pretty successful for you is your cover of the 10,000 Maniacs, More Than This song.
Wait,
Yeah.
2000 Maniacs did that song?
Or was it Natalie Merchant? Who am I thinking of?
Oh, well, it was Roxy Music, but maybe 10
Roxy Music.
Maniacs.
Okay.
Okay, I was thinking maybe they did it too. Yeah.
Yeah. But it just, it's entrancing. Like,
Thank you.
yeah, that was just an amazing recording. And then so that led to other recordings and I just kind of wondered about your folk experience here because we haven't had many folk music artists on the show. We've had like one or two, but what brought you into the genre? Like, how did you get started in music?
Well, I'm a lot older than any of you, I think. So I started really, really listening to music seriously in the mid 1970s when I was a teenager. And I fell in love with Joni Mitchell first and foremost. And then that led me to the sort of the singer-songwriters of the 70s, Jackson Brown, Joan Baez, Janis Ian, Cat Stevens. So that's where I kind of fell in love with that. I mean, I don't really consider myself a folk singer. I don't even know what a folk singer is, but I guess if you say folk music, people get the idea what girl with a guitar, and
Mm,
that's helpful. But it's really a combination of sort of alt country and pop and a little bit of rock and sort of and kind of folk. So I fell in love with the music then, and over the years just expanded my kind of horizons. But I always came back to kind of me playing guitar and doing shows.
Yeah, I just simply categorize you that way. That's how Wikipedia has you listed
Oh
here.
yeah,
So,
no, that's I don't take offense. I just don't think it has a lot of meaning. I think it's more a marketing category than anything.
right.
All
Maybe
music crosses genres, really.
maybe more singer-songwriter.
Yeah, I
Right.
would say that's more accurate. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, like there's definitely stories being told there
right.
from what I can hear. And I did also notice, and Sim, you may be interested to know that you decided to pursue also clinical psychology while you were coming up, right?
Right. So that's a kind of a long story, which I can make pretty short, which is I always wanted to be a singer. And I knew that from the time I was a teenager. Went to New York from Chicago to be a singer, to sort of hang out in the folk music scene, and then was starting to do really well. And kind of, it turns out, I didn't know this at the time, I figured it out later. I was too neurotic and conflicted to let myself really pursue it and have what I wanted. So I quit and became a psychologist. I went to grad school, got a doctorate, became a psychologist, and then ironically, with the help of a really, really good therapist, figured out that I was actually running away from what I really wanted, which was music. So I went back, and I haven't actually practiced as a psychologist in almost 30 years. So I kind of left it and never looked back.
I joined you in the ranks of those who have left their psychology degrees behind. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I got a little bit burnt out dealing with severely emotionally disturbed children, which will, yeah, it'll definitely tax you.
I worked on, among other places, in the Bellevue Child Inpatient Psychiatric Unit. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's gut wrenching and incredibly hard. It really is.
So
Yeah, no, and I did the same for about 15 years. I worked in inpatient child and adolescent psych, and I primarily focused on adolescent girls. And this was in the Midwest here in Illinois. And so yeah, it's so difficult because there's so many parts of it that you have no ability to kind of do anything about. Like you can do therapy on the kids, but then you're returning them back to their
E-
environment and things like that.
Exactly.
And so it's very difficult. So yeah, I can see kind of having a difficult time with that. That's very hard when you want to go into a helping profession and you don't always have control over that.
That's one of the hardest parts of it you could find, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. But I looked at some, I tried to look through your history here, and some names stuck out. For one that stuck out for me, especially as a child of the '90s, was Sean Colvin.
Hmm?
And you worked with Sean Colvin and Suzanne Vega and those, Richard Shindell, I think, too,
Mhm.
is just some names that have really gone on to larger popularity. So how did that I'm always wanting to know how Sean Colvin was because she's so private. So I don't know much about her.
Oh, well, okay. So when I moved to New York in 1978 from Chicago, there was a place called Folk City, which is no longer there. And it was this scene, literally this place where people hung out and became this really incredible scene. So a lot of people who went on to become famous started out there. And so I was singing there and also working as a bartender and a waitress. And a friend of mine one night introduced me to his friend who had just moved to New York that day. She had moved from Southern Illinois, and it was Sean Colvin, and that was 1980. So
Mhm.
nobody had ever heard of her. And we started singing together, and we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. She produced my first album. We sang together a lot, and then I'll just give you the whole rundown. Around the same time, 1980, in the winter of 1980, I was going to Barnard College for a year, and Suzanne Vega was also a student there, completely also unknown. She was 21. And somebody put us on a bill together at a Barnard dorm. and that's how we met. And I very well remember how blown away I was by her. She did some of her best songs that night that she'd already written. So I invited her down to Greenwich Village, to this place, Folk City. And I don't actually remember this. She remembers it. And I introduced her to everybody. She went on to become famous. Sean went on to become famous, and I knew them when. So those are my Sean and Suzanne stories.
Well,
Yeah,
it's funny you talk about Sean Colvin because I went to school down in Carbondale, down at
Oh,
SIU,
yeah, that's where,
right?
yeah,
She's
that's
legendary
where they
down there.
lived.
Exactly. She's legendary down there. So,
Yeah,
this was, I mean, back in 92 when I was there, but, obviously still, even after the fact, I mean, yeah, she's very well known down there. And, for as small of a town as it is, it's a university town. So we'd get some of the people in the folk circuits and things and from the
right.
auditoriums and stuff. So, yeah, Sean Colvin is amazing.
That's where she started singing, and Cliff heard her before. Oh, my friend who introduced me to her, Cliff Eberhardt, he was living there, and he walked into a bar one night, and she was singing with her friend Jimmy Bruno, who is a great songwriter, and they were working as a duo. And Cliff was like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe how great these people are." So I'm not surprised she's a legend there.
I don't know any child that grew up in the 80s that doesn't still hear the guitar licks from Luca by Suzanne
Oh,
Vega
yeah,
in their head,
absolutely.
just like at random times. Like the first time I ever heard that song, I was really young. I was born in '76, so I was right about the time when you guys were starting to come up, and then just hearing on the radio. I think I was probably listening to American Top 40 or something like that. I hear this song by Suzanne Vega. It's like got these incredible, just driving licks and all that is
Totally.
just stuck with me forever.
And what a great song. What a well-written song. I
Oh,
mean,
it was amazing. They
yeah,
impacted me so much at such a young age when that song came out. Because I mean, it's one of the a few songs I'd heard at that point that really told a story, right? And in the
Yes,
time of pop and fluff and all that stuff, it really told a deep story.
a story
a,
about
a,
child abuse,
yeah,
no
story about
less.
child abuse, a searing, very
Yeah,
moving story. Absolutely.
it's
And that
funny.
catapulted her to stardom.
Oh,
Definitely.
sure. Whenever I think of her, I randomly, speaking of randomly thinking about things, I always randomly think about the first few bars of Tom's Diner in my head when she covered that from
Yes,
DNA. And it's like, and then REM at one point covered it and did it, and and it's just like, but that's what always goes in my head is do 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 do,
people are
and it's like,
still using those
You know
samples.
that because she recorded that a cappella.
hmm
She wrote
Hmm.
that, right?
hmm
About Tom's Restaurant, 112th Street
in
and
New York,
Broadway.
right, right,
um, where because she was a student up there at Barnard, and that's that neighborhood. And then my understanding is that sort of, I don't know what the people who put it to like a disco beat,
DNA,
they did it without ever clearing it with her or her lawyers or her record label. And they wisely, Suzanne and her people wisely thought, let's let them have it, but they have to pay
right,
because it became a huge hit. But anyway,
right.
I always knew the song as her own version, which was just the a cappella thing.
So I'm looking at your discography here. You were with Cry Cry Cry
Mhm.
back in the late '90s, which kind of a little bit of a folk supergroup there. If we want to use that genre category to
Fine with
sell the
me.
records, yeah. But like, what was it like working with Dar Williams and Richard Chindal?
It was fabulous. It was their idea. I remember, I knew both of them. I knew Richard better. They had done some gigs together and they were thinking about, this is like 1997. They were thinking, oh, let's do an album of cover songs. And then Richard said to Dart, let's get Lucy too. And then we can make it, three-part harmonies. And I get this call, um, do you want to make an album with Dar and Richard? And I thought, this is never going to happen. These things never happen. And then it happened. And it was successful beyond anyone's expectations. It was like this sold out tour across the country. And frankly, it gave me a career. I mean, I became so much better known because of that. But at any rate, it was incredibly fun, incredibly gratifying musically. The songs are great. I still do some of those songs. And Dar is just a huge talent and a wonderful person and still a friend. They're both still my friends.
I mean, I promise we're going to talk about your solo career here. Is yeah, I know
Okay.
you're still doing your thing here. It's interesting though how you do point out that some of these building blocks here allow for
Oh
you to
yeah.
continue doing the work that you do.
Yeah.
Like historically, a lot of people have come out. There's a failed indie artist on every street in Nashville or in New York City, I think. But then, you're still being able to do this after, years and years in the business. So what are you doing now? Like what I know you're touring a little bit, but
I'm actually touring a lot. It comes and goes. I've had so many gigs this year already because I've been doing some group shows with some friends of mine, other singer-songwriters, John Gorka, Patty Larkin, and Cliff Eberhardt. And I have 2 weeks off right now, and then I'm back at it pretty intensively till mid-May. So I actually am doing a lot of gigs. I'm trying to write. And just kind of keep it going, like do good shows, write good songs, hopefully make albums. I have a brand new album. I don't know if you know that.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Like
Which is
the
I
last one I saw was God's Will or God Will,
Yeah, so
your single.
that's actually a single off this new album.
Mm,
The album's called The Lucy Story, and as somebody said to me today, I thought this was a really good way of describing it. It's sort of my musical autobiography. It's all these mostly never released live recordings, album outtakes of mostly cover songs from literally age 16 up to 2023. So I had this archive of never released recordings and performances, and I was kind of shocked how many of them I thought were pretty good. So I put them out, and it's called The Lucy Story.
why not, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the first time I listened to God Will, it's the whole concept, not to be a spoiler for anybody who hasn't heard it, but the whole concept is God will forgive you, but I fucking won't.
Exactly.
Basically. And I was like, where is she going with this? I was
Well,
listening
it's
to it.
I just want full disclaimer. I did not write it. It's a Lyle Lovett song, but it is a great song. And I loved it from the first time I heard it. And I do it live every now and then. And people, I mean, it's amazing how much of a
I'm
rise it gets out of. It's so clever and it's so good.
Yes, I'm putting in my request for that in Toledo
Okay,
or,
cool.
or
Sure.
already. So I'll
Sure.
definitely be there. But like, yeah, and when I heard it, I was like, I guess I've never heard the Lyle Lovett version, but I was like, where's she going with this? And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, I was like, oh yeah,
Right.
it's like yeah, just
That's the kind of song it is. Yeah.
yes, and it's very, I mean, it's very low key and it is very typically folk, I think, but just I think it's also a girl power song too at the same time
Hell
because
yeah. That's a
yeah,
good point. It's a girl power song.
yeah, and we girls here, we love our girl power here.
I'm all about girl power.
Yes, I love it. No, that's the whole point of our show, honestly.
Oh,
This
cool.
Mary was talking about this on her TikTok live a little bit ago. Is yeah, we get women's voices together, and you feel free to jump in here anywhere, Mary. I'm just talking, but yeah.
No,
Um,
I'm totally just taking it in. This is completely amazing to me because I do talk about women in history, and then through this show, I get to meet the women that are making history, and I just think that is completely cool. And I mean, to that end, I did have a question
Yeah.
since
mhm.
I talk about women in history. Have you ever felt personally that you have to work harder to be taken seriously or to have your lyrics heard or anything like that? Because I know that historically, women are largely erased from that world unless they make a big stink about it.
I must say that I haven't myself, but I think that people like Suzanne Vega, Tracy Chapman, Sean, paved the way at a time when women weren't taken, this is now, we're talking like early 80s, mid 80s, paved the way for women to be taken more seriously. So I think I haven't encountered that. I've encountered it in smaller ways, like when I'm doing a gig, and this doesn't happen so often, but it still happens. And the sound person, who's usually a man, doesn't think I know anything about sound and doesn't take my suggestions seriously. And I actually know something about sound. So there are definitely ways in which I experience it, but I think things have gotten a lot better since the 80s for people like me. So I'm happy to say that I feel like I am taken seriously.
I love
Getting
that.
to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And
And the way I want to do it.
exactly. That's all really anybody could ask for in a career.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
Speaking of that, like, is there an artist like that you like who's your dream person that you would love to collaborate with that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Wow. Collaborate with. I mean, there's a few people
Or
I'd love,
just perform with, you know?
yes, sing with. I'd love to sing with Emmylou Harris.
Yes.
ooh, yes.
Uh, I would love to sing with Richard Thompson.
Oh, that is
And I,
literally my mother's favorite artist.
yeah,
I'm big on folk music, so yeah.
he's pretty amazing. I Cry, Cry, Cry. We sang with him once,
Hmm.
but that wasn't the same as me doing a duet with him. But those are two of my just favorite artists, and I would love to sing with them. That's a couple of people who come to mind. Paul
Absolutely.
McCartney. I guess I should mention him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I would die happy.
Absolutely.
Gosh, imagine singing with a Beatle.
I can't imagine.
There's only one
Oh,
more left, so yeah,
gotta do it
yeah,
soon.
yeah. But yeah, gosh, yeah, I always thought like in that particular genre, like blues or folk or something like that, I'd always like to like get on stage with like either Grantley Buffalo or John or Todd Snyder, like some of those ones that just really just exist in their genre and they don't give a crap about the charts or the radio airplay. They're just there for the fans of the genre
It's
and
true.
the fans of the song. Like I really wish more people would get away. Now that we don't have like radio is not what it used to be when we
No,
were
it's not.
growing up. It's like none of us in here are younger than our late 40s. So, it's I remember the days when the DJ would pick out the radio and you'd hear the radio songs, you'd hear that, and that'd be all you'd hear, and people would all be fans of the same top 40 songs. Now there's no excuse, honestly, not to explore, I think, and get in there, get in your Spotify and dig deep, or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, and Spotify, of course, is a mixed blessing because it's an amazing way to discover music. Absolutely amazing.
Right, terrible for the artist, but amazing
Terrible
for
for the artist.
discovery.
Absolutely pays nothing. So our people like me, our incomes have been decimated because people don't tend to buy CDs anymore. Although I'll just mention I came up with sort of my own little model, which seems to be working pretty well, which my last three albums, they're not available on streaming services. They're not on typical retail. They're only available through me. So it's like if people want the music, they actually have to buy it, which is the way it used to be.
Which
So
is
I'm
how I'm
doing,
sure it'll be at your live show.
yes, it will. I
Hmm.
sell them at my
Well,
shows and
it
through
was
my
either
website.
it was either that or we had to sit in front of the TV with our little tape recorder and hope that El DeBarge paused for a second before we hit record.
Right.
Solid Gold. Do you remember that show?
Yes, I was just thinking about
Yes.
that the other day. That and American Bandstand and all of that
Oh
stuff,
my
but
gosh.
definitely
Yes.
Solid Gold and the
Yeah.
Soul Train, and
Soul Train. I grew up on.
all of those.
Gosh, I remember performing as Elvis Presley in American Bandstand on the stage. I'm a musical theater queer, so I definitely, yeah, I did that. But just yeah, it's not spoon fed to us anymore. It's like here's this artist. That's why I like to bring up people on the show who are either up and coming or who exist outside of the Billboard charts,
Sure.
and we get out there, find new music, and definitely if you see artists like Lucy here, touring, go to a show, get to a live show, get some merch, buy a CD. I'm betting you'll even sign it.
Oh, absolutely. I will. I love signing CDs and actually sell them autographed on my website too.
Okay. Do you still sell vinyl?
I don't sell vinyl. There isn't enough. It's expensive to produce, and there isn't
Mm,
enough interest in it to make it cost effective for me.
yeah, I guess it's
The CDs
niche.
and downloads for me.
I love vinyl so much. It's just the
Nothing
sound
like
of it. There's really no better way to listen to music than on a nice hi-fi with a nice clean LP.
I agree with you.
And I have a whole closet full of them back there, and every time I bring them out, my kids are like, "What are those?"
I know well, now they're back. We have a 22-year-old and she likes vinyl. So it's coming back, but no, I don't sell it. Maybe.
Last time I bought a LP and brought it home, my daughter was like, "Is that a calendar?" I'm like, "No,
No.
honey. You put it on this thing, it goes around and around, it makes
Right.
music."
I think I have two vinyls like from when I was a kid, and I haven't started buying them again. The two I have Thriller, and I
Me
have
too.
right, and then I have the soundtrack from Two of a Kind, with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta.
Honestly, I think Thriller came with like samples of Tide back in the days. You just had one. Like
Right.
everybody had that album.
Everybody had it.
I used
Yeah,
my
it's
first communion money to buy it.
sort of like
There
I
you
was
go.
Frampton,
7.
like Frampton Goes Live or something like that. Everybody
Right.
just sort of had it. We didn't know where we bought it from or where we got it from. We just had it.
True.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing a little bit about yourself here today. I know we don't have you for very long here tonight, but it's been good to get to know you, and I am looking forward to on the 27th, getting out there and seeing some live stuff and getting some merch, and hopefully
Right.
anybody who is here. We're not all in the Toledo area; we're all over the country here, but anybody in the Toledo area, go out, see the show. Now, where can we find you? Like, where can we find you to either A, find out where you're performing, or B, give you money for music?
Thank you for that. LucyKaplansky.com. That has everything. Has
Okay.
all my info and my tour schedule and everything. And I'm also on, all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have
between
to
all
check
of
you on
that,
Blue
you can
Sky.
find.
Yeah, I stay away from Shitter these days, but Blue Sky, definitely. I'll throw an ad over to you here later after the
Oh,
show.
cool.
Yep, we are live on YouTube tonight. We're not on GCPR tonight, but we're going to be posting this video to our YouTube channel. This is sort of a bonus episode for us this week, and we definitely, I think we got a great guest here with you for you tonight. Lots of great music for you to look forward to and listen to. This is going to be our bonus episodes usually go behind a paywall, but this one's for free for y'all. So y'all can get to experience this and get to know this fine lady and her music here. But I'd like to close it out just by simply sharing God Will because I love this damn song so much. So I'm going to play that here in just a second for our YouTube folks here. If I can figure out how to share it on my screen. This is the part I edit out later. Actually, looks like I'm going to have to launch that first. This is live TV.
No
Love
idea how
it.
you're doing this. Thank you.
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, I want to ask Lucy a quick question.
Sure.
So I'm going to go to your website, of course, but while I have you right here, do you think that are you doing any shows in Illinois at all this year? Like
The
you talked about
only
being from Chicago, like maybe like the Old Town School of Music. Do you ever perform
right.
there?
So I do play the Old Town School and Space in Evanston.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I think I'm going to be going to Space in the fall, probably October, but it's not official.
Okay.
But I do go about once a year, yeah, to Chicago or Evanston.
Cool. Because I want to tell my mom to catch your show. So.
Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you.
Great. I'm going to play the song. Let me know if y'all hear it. Can y'all hear it okay?
No, ma'am.
Cannot? Okay. I'll have to edit this part in later. But that's it for our show tonight. For YouTube, come back. We'll play it later. Y'all have a great night. Thank you for the hurricanes here. I am Hurricane Sheila with Hurricane Mary, Hurricane Sim, and our new honorary hurricane, Hurricane Lucy.
I like
Thank you
that.
for joining us.
Thank
Y'all have
you.